Okay, got it out of there. It was a bear, but got her out. And now I put it back in. And we're going to screw her down. Because I don't know where the checkerboard's going to come in, so it's got to be in there. Hopefully the other side comes off easy. Okay, let's see if this comes off. Come off easy. So we'll put this back together. Now I stood at the sign shop and I picked out all those stencils, and they got a tape machine that puts the separating tape on it, so I didn't have to do that part. So that's a good thing. Should be able to do this all in one shot. I mean, the thing that's going to take the time is to get it laid out exactly how I want to. The actual painting, maybe 5 minutes. So let's take a look at the stencils. Stencils I rolled up. Probably not a good idea, but I had no way to get them home without rolling them. And we got an 1 7/8" checkerboard for the bottom, which is the same as the stripes width. I have 1-inch checkerboards here for the elevator stabilizer. It looks to me that that Continental lettering is going to be a little too large, but we'll see. I don't think I'll be putting a stunt hanger on there, so we'll set that aside. That's a nice thing about always dealing with the same sign shop. He has my numbers already in the computer. So that's a good thing. So let's see how if this Continental is going to be too long. It's large, but I'm going to put this on there. It'll go all the way across the inboard top and bottom. In gold leaf. The original had AMA, but we don't want that. We want Continental, and I wanted the same font as my so it's going to take up a pretty large section of the wing, but it'll look good. It'll look real good. So that's I didn't know whether I was going to like it that large or not, but I do. And then my AMA number, top and bottom, and gold leaf goes here. I had made mention of the stripe that went around back there that Tom had. I'm not even going to attempt it. I could not figure out how to get her to go around. I'm just going to use the USA back underneath that red stripe. We'll probably put it in gold leaf, or I could put Wix aircraft, but I might put those on the flaps. Because if you're not buying dope from Wix, you're not getting it at the best price. But I don't think we're going to be putting stunt hanger along the trailing edge. It's just, oh, I don't know. It might go all the way across there. I don't know. This is up for debate. I'll look at that when I get a little farther along. We don't want to make the airplane too busy and too far away from the original intent. But we did get the checkerboards, and that I couldn't be happier about that. That saves a lot of work. Now, if you're willing to work with your sign shop, and there's a kid there, that, like I have, he did all this for me for 25 bucks. I mean, you can't complain about that. So, to get it ready, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our paper towels. We're going to Windex the bottom. Another couple of rolls. Need to buy this by the truckload, I think. Have to take the trash out. The trash is full with paper, masking paper. I also went and got some more alcohol, and while I was there, they don't have any 91 proof. All I had was 70, so had to suffice with 70. Now this is a good thing, because there's a couple of spots on here that really need to be touched up with white. But I'm not going to touch them up till after the black is on, because then we can selectively touch up. If there's a square that needs to be touched up, we just touch that one square up, because black will cover any of the black will make it dark. You'll never notice that it was light anywhere. It tricks your eye. As you can see here, it's a little light here and there, but that's okay. Okay, now I have to lay this out and think how I want to do this. On the original, the checkerboards ran right over the top of the fuselage. I'm not sure I want to do that. So I'm thinking about, instead of trying to do it all in one, we'll do it in halves. So, if I did it in halves, that would be there, and that would come to here. It has enough to go across in one. I don't know. I'm going to cut the camera. This is going to take me some thought. Exactly how I want to do this, because I don't want to burn up a bunch of film of me thinking and measuring. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, after walking away for a bit, thinking about it, careful thought, what we're going to do is I'm going to cut this center section of checkers right out of it, right here. Now, well, the original had the black checks up here on the fillets. We're going to have ours white, because that'll be about 1,000 times easier. And you can adjust that by moving how you do the stencil. But the first thing we need to do is we're going to have to cut these stencils and get them separated. So I have to have a place to do that, seeing as I don't have a sign shop here. I'm going to have to clean off the bench so I can cut that. So I'll try to edit that out so that you're not seeing airtime. So just as an aside, there's over $50 in masking materials on this airplane so far. So I'd say that's kind of ridiculous. So we'll mark these two pieces center. And a forward arrow, so we know this goes forward. And now, carefully, we're going to cut out that center section. This is wide enough, but we'll see. It is. Should be good. Remember, if you're going to err on the large side so that you can always trim off, because you can't put it back on. So now we have our two stencils, right and left wing, with the center cut out of it. We're not going to put those center squares on it. It's just no need for all that nonsense. So bring the airplane back. The easiest thing I've found when doing these checkerboards to work off is the trailing edge. So, we'll get the trailing edge over here. I think that we'll try to line it up with the first red and white stripe. So we're going to need a piece of guide tape. You want to do this with the flaps on, because we'll cut the material at the flap joint to separate them and paint the two separate, but we need to have them in the same spot. So I put on my square, which I can't do because of the round things, of course. I have to come up here and get a mark, which is approximately right there. So this is going to be so instead of this 1/2-inch tape, I'm going to use 1/8 inch as a as a guide, because it's pretty close to the fuselage up there. Now hopefully we can get it on in one shot. Now remember, when you're doing this, you know, we're not in a big rush, see. So stand back and look, make sure you got it right. So now, the mark here. This checkerboard should be black by the way that it's running out. I'll need the pencil here. Need a bigger shot. Okay. I know this is very boring, but some people wanted to see it, so okay. Now look at it. Pretty good. Need to look at this. That thing's falling off here. Put some tape on it, hold it together. And I hope I didn't dent it. Of course, it hit the paint can. No, it didn't hurt it. Didn't hurt it. Needs a piece of tape on this to hold it together. And you ask, well, why do I got to have them on? Well, because they got to be painted in one piece. They don't have to be painted in one piece. They have to be laid out in one piece, or else it'll be rather stupid. So I do need to straighten that out. So I found something on top I need to fix, which is not a big deal. Okay. Now, let's see if we can get it on there. Center and forward. So that won't work like that, so we have to do it like this. How am I going to index this? It's going to be harder than I thought, but that's all right. So let's make a mark. Mark there, and a mark there. That's where it goes. So now we're not going to take all the paper off in one shot. I think it would be just too hard to control. In fact, it doesn't even want to come off right now. But this will save a ton of masking if I can get it on there. So being very careful, we have to get this paper off somehow. And it's not cooperating very well. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the airplane off the bench and set this flat on the bench so I can work on it. And we're going to take it off in one shot because it does not want to come off. Okay, we got a few that are picked up, so you want them laying flat. So we're going to have to go back over and lift them up and lay them down so they lay flat. Okay. Well, if we have any spots, we'll get them. Wish I had a second set of hands here. Okay. Yeah, we have a couple of them probably have to lift up and move, but all in all, it turned out, they laid on there pretty good. So this one's going to have to be cut. This one, it needs to stay where it's at. And we'll just cut this. Okay, do the front, and they should lift off. Okay. Alright, got the excess trimmed off. Except for this piece here. We'll just trim this way. I'm debating on what to do there. Okay. Remember, I had one chance, because I'm not going to spend another $25 to get them cut. Anyway, take a credit card, smooth it out. We're trying to leave the yellow vinyl on the wing. I'll take the positioning backing off. And this first part was the easy part. The other side is the hard part because we got to get it exactly lined up. So now remember, we have to leave everything that's touching the wing now has to be left on the wing. Yeah, there's one because of the compound curve that we're going to have to pick up and move because it wrinkled. And you can't have them wrinkled. If it's wrinkled, that means it's going to bleed. So we'll just pick this up. Stretch it. Push it down. Now it still gets a perimeter around it. We got to come back with blue fine line tape and outline the leading and trailing edge. You're probably thinking to yourself, golly, what a lot of work. Yeah, but it would have been worse if I'd had to tape them all. Oh, there's another one that needs to be picked up. I'll try to zoom in here and get you a look at that. If you look at this one right here, can't zoom in. Let me move the camera because it's worth mentioning. Right here, there's a big wrinkle all the way across. And if you don't stop and fix that now, matter of fact, wherever there's a bubble or a wrinkle, we're going to pick that up and we're going to get that wrinkle out before I spray. So I just do them as I go. But if you don't, you'll have overspray and it'll be a disaster. You just pick it up until the wrinkle comes out, stretch it. Layer back down. Continue on. So we need one to stay right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut the flap away, finish taping it off. So everywhere that's yellow is going to be white, and everywhere that's white will be black. And we won't worry about that. So this tape might run an hour. We'll go into the we'll just go into the taping of it. And let me get rid of some of this. This is masking tape of sort. It's a sign backers placement tape. I don't know what the correct terminology is, but it's sticky, but it's low tack sticky, kind of like shelf paper. I had about 3 or 4 big rolls of it around here I used to use as masking material, but yeah, this, I think I will just tape one side, you know, video one side of this, because it's going to take a while to get it all matched up. Well, using the guide, the line parallel to the trailing edge came out pretty close. Nothing that your eye would pick up. I mean, it might be a few thousandths off, but it's if you use professional equipment. Now, obviously, I don't have a spray booth here. I don't have, you know, multi-thousands of dollars worth of any equipment, but you'll notice that in all my videos, all the tools and all the materials that I use, such as the sign mask and the painter's blue fine line and the yellow auto body masking tape and the 3M spot putty, and all the materials that I use are professional quality. It's the only way you're going to have a professional model. If you want to I see from time to time that they want to use Krylon on this and Duplicolor on that, and that's all well and good. If you're happy building an airplane that's a sport airplane and it's probably not going to last very long, or don't worry about buying the high dollar stuff, the dope and the urethanes and things like that, because it doesn't do you any good. But if you're to a position in your life where a model will last you 5, 6, 8, 10 years, and you want it to look good and you want it to be of the utmost, you got to buy the good stuff. There's just no way around it. You know, I see everybody wanting to cut corners on material. You can't do it. It just does not work. So it's your choice. when there's something better comes along, I buy it. You know, I have, like, my tools. All my tools are snap-on tools. Why? Because they're the best. You only got to buy them once. So now I take scalpel. We're going to separate the flap. And trust me, the only way you're going to have a good-looking airplane is if you buy the right equipment, buy the right materials. Okay, flaps off. Force this down. We're going to have to tape that, tape around the perimeter of the flap so to keep the overspray off the top. Of course, mask it up. Came out pretty good. I mean, just no way to make everything perfect, but you certainly try. So, that's that part. And now, I see a spot that could have been a disaster. Let me explain what the disaster it could have been. We are not going to paint the whole airplane black. So we're going to have a termination line along this line right here, for where the paint terminates from one color to the next. They didn't give me that in the stencil. So we'll have to tape it off. I'll tape that off in a few minutes. Let me get back with you. Okay, we learned our lesson about removing the backing on the other wing. Hopefully it'll come off easier while it's laying on the bench, but it doesn't look like it. Take your time. I mean, it ain't like I'm getting paid by the hour. Because if I was, this airplane would be worth a bunch. I think this paper here needs to be a little less tacky, or a little slicker, so that the squares peel up. But it's considerably easier laying on the bench than trying to do it on the airplane. Can you imagine taping off all those squares? We used to do it. '60s and '70s didn't have none of this stuff here. Everything was done by hand. At least by me it was. We could see the light at the end of the tunnel by the end of the week. It could be starting to clear, depending on how much I want to work on this. All right. So now, any of the squares that are buckled up, you want to go back and lay back down, so they lay down flat on the airplane. We also learned that we didn't need the bounding box on this pattern, so we got to cut the bounding box off. It's off on the inside, but not off on the outside, so let's cut it off here. That'll make things easier too. We'll save this just in case I need it for something. Makes good masking material. So, push this down. Come on. There we go. Is this the right way to do it? I don't know. My way. It's always worked, so. Before I took the backer off, I marked the tape, the registration marks, so we can get it to lay down in the right spot. Because like I said, we got one chance. I wasn't going to have him cut these because he didn't have the time, but I sat and thought about it. I go, well, I got 11-inch cord with 3-inch flap, that's 14 inches. Just cut me some 1 7/8 squares. And that should make it. Alright. With any luck, we can get this on in one try. If not, bummer, dude. Okay. Okay, I put the registration marks on a piece of tape. I have the marks on here that show forward and the center. I have that piece of blue fine line as a squaring tape, or squaring line, so we'll put the registration mark on there like so. And the no, it slid. Oh. But we saved it. You only get one shot. Well, because I prepared it first, it went on better than the first one. That's a good thing. Now I have a signed squeegee around here for putting on vinyl somewhere, but I'm not going to dig for it. I just use a credit card and squeegee out the air bubbles. You can sight right down the paper on the trailing edge to make sure that you got the lines parallel. As long as you have a registration mark to start with and you keep it parallel, it should be fine. If you had it twisted like that, that would really draw attention to the eye. But if it's off a few thousandths, and the only time that the bottom is going to be seen, one, if you turn it over and show it. Two, a parent's judging, they turn it over and look at it. And they, standing this close, they're dead nuts parallel, so. And three, when it's flying in the air, so. It looks good to me. You'll notice I did just by eye. We're not building a watch as long as we're close. Yeah, if I can get it started here. Another thing about this vinyl, I'm going to paint this today, because I don't want this vinyl sitting on overnight, because we don't want a chance pulling the white paint up. So we'll paint it and demask it in one day. Oh, that's great. That registration really worked nice. I'm pleased with that. I'll do this off camera. I will set it up somewhere, stand back and look at it, but it's too late now to change my mind. They're on there. I gotta like it. We have the same thing to do to the tail, only with smaller squares. I might have to think about that like I did this too, to see how it lays out. We might have to cut it, split it in the center. The real fun is taking all these squares off. I will show that too, because it's kind of neat. Okay, we got one there. It needs to stay stuck now. There, it needs to stay there. Now the tips is where you got to kind of jockey it, because you got compound curves and they don't lay down very well and they pull up. So, I've now thrown away all the extra material, so I've got to get these right. Okay, we got a little slight problem there. Yeah, that'll be hidden. Tape around it. Okay. Well, there you have it. I got the checkerboards on the bottom. You saw me do it in real time, so it's not a mystery. They run straight across. They're all in the correct sequence. All in all, it turned out pretty nice. So, get you a look what it looks like. I have to put the blue tape on the inside here. Go around the leading edge like I did over here, and we do the flap and all that. But we're probably another hour or so out. Now, I'm not going to show all of the laying out of this stenciling, for the simple fact it's just the same thing over and over and over again. But you get to see how I did lay out the checkerboard stencil on the bottom, and this is exactly as the original was. I can think of only one difference between this airplane and the original is I'm not going to have that red stripe here. I'm going to have a smaller USA right here, and that's just the way it is. And don't tell me, oh, come on. No, it's artistic license. That's how I want it. So, that's where we are. I'll see you when I get everything taped up and we starting to paint. So, see you in a bit.